In the night of ambiguity, neon thoughts flicker repeatedly. An ocean of algorithms spreads across our minds, and decision-making seeps into the delay of clicks. The spider called modernity weaves its existence with threads of empty information, choosing speed over truth and reflex over meaning. Judgment is nowhere to be found. Or perhaps it has been dispersed everywhere. Ethics, invisible like gravity, are sucked into the timeline, and words are consumed not as concepts, but as mere devices for simulating emotion. We avoid uncertainty while bowing to the violence of clarity. The framework of good and evil depends on the saturation of posted images, and criticism has become an ambiguous ritual visualized by the number of emojis. Therefore, suspend judgment in the contemporary. It is not an escape. Rather, it is a hymn to the undefined that is born in silence. To think is to doubt thought. To suspend judgment is to quietly sway at the center of existence. When we listen to the noise of this world, the smallest silence becomes the greatest resistance. If the contemporary never stops speaking, we respond by choosing not to speak. Judgment can be will. The movement of will ceases, and time folds in on itself under its own weight. And countless moments of fixed evaluation have already lost their edge, drifting beyond the divided reality like transparent sculptures, beyond the ambiguous boundaries. Here, the past, the future, and countless possibilities quietly coexist. The burden of judgment is released in the moment of epoche, elegantly shaking the framework of fixed ideas. It is an unconditional existence that appears beyond the lens of prescribed values. The choice to suspend judgment is a quiet revolution that gazes upon the fluctuation lurking behind the structure of waves, behind vibrations. We live in a state where even our thoughts are outsourced. In an era where AI predicts the future and algorithms shape preferences, thought itself is on the verge of being swallowed by a vortex of noise. Therefore, we cease judgment. It is a spiritual fast, a sabbatical of thought, an attempt to believe in the true contours that emerge in the void, which can be said to exist, that which does not sway even when the wind blows, or that which deliberately collapses with the wind. When we stop listening to the media's cries of immediate response, correct answers, and shortest routes, a quiet inner hearing opens up. Whispering in its depths is the decision to embrace countless branches, while simultaneously embracing possibilities that reach nowhere. To embrace everything by not choosing. In the contemporary, that is, in this very moment, the act of returning thought to the silence before thought. Ambiguous rays of light gently open the doors of emotions and values that were once tightly closed from the gaps of distant memories. The pulsating vortex of introspection releases the weight of fixed evaluations and flows into soft fluidity. Here, the days that have passed and the illusions of the future overlap, and the cold fragments of judgment are freed from their former sharp edges. Sensations and memories dance quietly, and the heavy net of fixed notions disappears, replaced by a transparent space. In this universe where chance and necessity intersect in a chaotic aesthetic, one resolves to surrender oneself anew. The mystical moment of suspended judgment becomes the whispered conversation of stars, as each soul seeks the essence of soft existence. A torrent of pixels washes over the shores of the retina. The scales that once measured value, now updated every second, can no longer bear the weight of light particles, and their pointers tremble in the void. Monitors engraved with good and evil are worn down by the tidal wave of data. Correctness is the optimal solution produced by algorithms. The coordinate axis called self is distorted by the gravity of countless likes. We no longer know the absolute silence of 0 degrees or the scorching certainty of conviction. Only the tasteless, odorless approval of room temperature circulates as the current of information. Judgment is the violence of fixing a single perspective, the blade that divides the world into this shore and the other shore. But in the labyrinth called contemporary, countless perspectives are infinitely dispersed. The object of condemnation transforms into an icon worthy of praise in the next moment, and vice versa. Yesterday's paradigm becomes today's laughable nostalgia. Neither yes nor no, a beautiful void. In the midst of the infinite gradations of evaluation, we are merely spectators who have forgotten how to blink. We cannot throw the clumsy stone of criticism at the spectacle of flowing light. In that white night, our judgment quietly comes to a halt. It is a supreme freedom akin to resignation. I understand. Beyond that silence, that freedom was like the dizziness of weightlessness.